Next up, we have a customer on stage that represents a business that's reimagining the digital store of the future. Ulta Beauty has transformed their digital platforms, moving away from a monolithic system to empower their business teams and enable fast content creation at scale. You're about to hear their story firsthand. So please join me in welcoming to the stage Joe Rago and Carrie Woods from Ulta Beauty and Kate Chaucer from Ampliance.
Good morning, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for coming. We're really excited to have you here for Amplify NYC. It's an exciting time for us all to be together. I know everybody's going into peak, but we can't tell you how much we appreciate you being here, so thank you. Just want to chat with Joe and Carrie about their incredible work here at Ulta Beauty, and they're a long partner of Ampliance. So just a little chat about what they've experienced and allow you to hear their story. So some questions for you guys. So Ulta Beauty has shifted from a monolithic platform to composable architecture, giving business teams more control. How has this empowered your teams to innovate and move at the speed of beauty?
Starting off with the loaded question. No, for Ulta, and I think like many retailers that were out there, we were on a platform that was your single, one-stop shop, your monolithic retail solution. And we spent many, many years customizing that monolithic solution, but it still didn't give us the flexibility that we needed from a business and a day-to-day operation perspective, which really, I think, kind of forced the shift that we ended up taking into what we called our digital store of the future, but now our digital store of today.
Yeah, from a business perspective, we were limited in what we can control and change. So we could change out, a static image on the hero or the call to action on the homepage, but that was about it. We couldn't say, hey, let's move this banner to a different spot, or let's use a carousel instead of a hero banner. We were just very limited.
Yeah, lots of flexibility.
Yeah, and all that took time, and time cost you money, right? And be able to adapt to the ever-changing needs of our beauty business. And, really at the center of our pivot to our current digital store was really the idea around, components and modularity. So to be able to create components, and that's where we went from, that monolithic solution to working with many best-in-class providers. And we have Ampliance as kind of our in the center there as our CMS and our digital asset management repository. So being able to create components, and then really the modularity. How can you put those components into different parts of the experience and be able to reuse, what you're creating across our digital store?
Yeah, from a business perspective, we're less reliant on 2-week product releases. And so now we have a whole host of components at our fingertips. We can change out imagery, we can switch out a component and move things around whenever we need to as we react to business and how we change things up from one week to the next week.
Yeah, we like to use the Lego block analogy when we were kind of doing our road shows about what the new store would be, and the idea that you could plug and play across the experience. But then I'm actually going to go off script here. Sorry, PR. No, but today, we talked about, pre-peak, we've been in a holiday freeze since really October 1st, and a hard freeze, don't change anything since November 1st. Yet we have our biggest upcoming, events, right? Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and all that will be within kind of the idea of how we're able to leverage our components, use their modularity across the experience. So we'll be very dynamic in how we're going to operate, even though we're in a freeze period, whereas before everything was, a 2-week release, working that into development cycles. So we're excited for that.
Lots of scheduling. So you're now able to make real-time updates across web, mobile, and 2 native apps. Can you share a specific example where agility made a measurable impact on customer engagement or campaign success? And how do you ensure consistency while tailoring experiences to each channel?
Yeah, well, Joe just kind of, introed me to the next part, right? There's one key moment that stands out, and it was last holiday. As most other retailers, you see a huge spike in the holiday timeframe, especially around Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and with Ulta, we basically make changes on the fly to react to business, to react to what our competition's doing, to always stay on top of things. And so we have to make sure that we're showing the right things to the guests at the right time. And so within Amplience, timing is everything. We need to hit precisely at a certain time when inventory or promotion drops, to be able to get the best content to the guest at the right time. And so flexibility is a huge key to that. And Amplience allows us that flexibility to be able to act quickly and confidently, knowing that our products or our promotions are going to drop at the right time.
Yeah, and for us, it's I think the ability to be consistent across platforms where we want to be, and then where we want to choose to be inconsistent, we can. So whether it be having content across web and our 2 apps, where we want to have divergent paths, we're able to do that. And I think from like a holiday perspective, this will be, I think, our fourth holiday season where we've had at least a part of our digital store running on our new platform, and specifically with Amplience. It's I think our third year where like everything has been there. So I think we've been able to gain insights and see performance improvements. Like whenever we used to launch our Black Friday sale up until 2 years ago, we would do like the digital gate where you basically had to wait to get into the store while the elves worked behind the scenes. And, we've been able to drop that. And a lot of it has to do with, Carrie mentioned, the precise like scheduling of content. So like, in a couple of weeks when we start our Black Friday sale, the Saturday before, it's, at 6 p.m. or whatever time it is, like everything needs to hit, and we need to know it's going to hit exactly at that point in time. And then obviously the flexibility beyond it, but definitely, the performance aspect and how we've been able to leverage and run and have a knock on, I need to find some wood, like a smooth holiday season. It's definitely something that's, given us more comfort as we head into the 2025 season.
That's great. That's great. And things move fast. So you're constantly having to monitor what's happening in real time and make changes on the fly, which is sort of the name of the game in retail. Personalization, hot topic, it seems, across the industry, and it's central to modern retail. How has the new architecture enabled you to personalize experiences without sacrificing speed or creativity?
So this was a big, like many folks, personalization was a big focus for us. It's been for a while now at Ulta. It kind of started, more in our innovation space as we looked at things like product recommendations or targeted like email marketing messaging, but it's moved into our core digital store. And throughout 2024, 2025, we worked on an initiative. My team, Carrie's team, our technology partners, around what we call CPT, or our content personalization tool. And what it really does is kind of bridge what we have as our own kind of personalization engine, which we call Quasi. And how do we take the personalization insights, and we call them recipes, and how do you combine that with content, and really specifically unique content creation? And I'll let Carrie jump into some of the specifics of that one.
Yeah, with Amplience, we're able to move faster, right? And so because we have such a powerful tool as our CMS, we're able to launch new content to within the same component to different guests. So we can utilize those recipes from Quasi to make sure that the right content is hitting the guest, and we don't have to change anything up. We can use the same component, but message it differently. And so it allows us to be flexible, but also be targeted to those guests.
That's great. Trends and seasons move quickly in beauty retail. How has your approach helped Ulta Beauty launch campaigns faster and stay in sync with evolving customer expectations?
Yeah, I mean, speed's the name of the game for us and many retailers out there. So I think it starts with content creation. So how do we create the right type of content that either it could be related to newness is also big, and you could consider that kind of speed, newness of product, new brands, new products. So how to create the right content that either ties to, it could be a new product launch, it could be a new trend, it could be seasonal in nature. So how do you get the right content? And that could be everything from product detail pages to landing pages, search listing pages, et cetera. But then how do we then sprinkle access or awareness to the guest of that content throughout our experience? And that's where I think the kind of combination of like the componentry and the modularity comes into play.
Yeah, when we prep for a big event like Black Friday, 21 Days of Beauty, or a brand launch, we think about the site and the app and how can it be cohesively from homepage all the way through, and so that the guest is seeing the right content at the right time. So we leverage different slots. We use slots all the time, so we can schedule everything across multiple pages to bring it to life. The scheduling capability, which lots of schedules coming up, within Amplants is key for us to stitch together the whole story. And so we can be able to preview it within our staging environment in a way that leverages our applicable components. We partner across the organization, merchandising, marketing, digital, to bring to life those events and our key launches, ensuring that we are the windows to the brick and mortar store. Our SVP loves to say, like, what's the windows looking like this week?
Yeah.
Is it aligned to the store? And within the staging environment, we can preview it day by day, hour by hour across all the pages, ensuring that we're bringing that story to life.
And we also have like the element of speed as it relates to kind of the technical performance. So we did work closely with Julian and the team, last year around image optimization, really asset optimization. So we went through and we were able to optimize all of our image files, all of our video files, make sure we're serving the right asset in the right capacity, like on the right platform at the right time. So we were able to see big improvements, even from our first couple of years on the platform through, image optimization. Then, a lot of the things that John talked about earlier, I actually got to see John's speech today in London. I was behind the stage, so I could only hear it, not see it. But, excited for where things are going with the platform. And I think, definitely being able to create more things quicker, but also in the right capacity is exciting for the future.
That's awesome. So if you look ahead 3 to 5 years, what does the digital store of today or next week, next year look like? And what role do you think agility plays in that real-time updates and customer-centric content for Ulta Beauty?
Yeah. I think if we truly knew that, then we might as well go play the lotto or Powerball tonight. But I think, it really comes down to, I think, two main things. One, I think there's our core, operation of our digital store from an ongoing, merchandise perspective. But I think it ties really into two things. And Carrie will talk about the first with Omni.
Yeah, so our omni-channel approach is the continued role of our physical stores. We now have 1,500 brick and mortar stores, plus our digital store, plus our coast-to-coast fulfillment. And we've built a strong foundation to deliver value to both our guests and our associates. And when you think about a guest walking into a store, they basically have a supercomputer at their fingertips in their back pocket, a lot of times just in their hand. And so the question becomes, how can we tap into the power of mobile? And how can we not only leverage our guests to ease, but how can we leverage our store associates with that same technology and that data to bring the best guest experience to them while they're in the store?
And then, we're definitely on we're in the first part of our journey where we're working to kind of completely reimagine our app. And we refer to it as Project Flagship internally because we really are looking for the app to be that true flagship that's driving our digital engagement with our guests. We already know that's like it's already their preferred channel, if you will, for interacting with us, but how they're interacting at home, how they're interacting in a store, out of a store, we're definitely working to kind of reimagine and rebuild our app. And a lot of that will have to do with kind of that combination of consistency and inconsistency. A big part of it's going to be having truly app unique features that really dive into the power of our omni-channel business, because that's somewhere we just opened our 1500th store in the U.S. So how do we tap into that omni-channel ecosystem that we have? And definitely excited for where that's going to go with our app leading the way.
That Ulta Beauty reach is far and deep.
And international now, too.
Yes, that's right. I was going to say, you guys have more and more expansion happening through Marketplace and international partners. How has, I'm going off script here, but how has your ability to react to those growth factors, been optimized through
I'm going to steal your
I'm
thunder.
going to see where we're going to go here.
No, I think actually with Amplify, so it's very interesting. So we opened our first store within Mexico, and we'll soon be in the Middle East, and we're actually able within Amplants to deliver images that we already have, right? Like we already have images for the same foundation that they're going to sell in Mexico and they're going to sell in the Middle East. How can we leverage the same content without going out to all the brands again to get that content? And so we're able to actually utilize what's already in Amplants from the brand image perspective, but also from our own images, and allow them to use it. So it's been really flexible and helpful to those international markets to be able to take what we already have and utilize it there versus starting over.
I didn't think that's where you're going to go, so
okay.
I'll do a different angle. Our other expansion has been, we've recently, publicly launched what we call our UB Marketplace, which is within the Ulta.com kind of US site. We were able to expand where we now have, we've been able to expand our product catalog by working with brands that are able to sell through our platform, but are the ones that are doing the end fulfillment of that. And that introduced an interesting dynamic as it related to bringing those products into our ecosystem, especially around product images. And, we work with a third-party partner, Miracle, to help power the marketplace. So we were able to work together between Ampliance, Miracle, our Ulta IT team, so that for the brand partner, especially the new partners, they were able to upload their images into Miracle as kind of their source of record, along with all of their related product information. And then Ulta is able to through an Ampliance API call, pull those images from Miracle into our Ampliance system to then show up within our digital store. So a couple bonus answers you got there, Kate.
Yeah, thanks. I was fishing for that.
And actually, the marketplace one I actually forgot in my earlier response, so I got to come back to it. Thank you.
Well, I think it's cool because you get to understand where there's different growth opportunities, and when you have technology that allows you to take advantage of these different growth opportunities and new market ops, there's flexibility to manage to that. And just a really great team and a great story. So thank you for sharing that with us. Beth, I think maybe you wanted to open the floor to Q&A if we have a few minutes. I don't know what our time looks like, but.
Thank you, Terry. Joe and Carrie, thank you so much for the overview of Ulta. Quick question for you on in-store experience, which I know is not necessarily either of your roles, but you guys added Happy Returns in 2025. I'm curious what the digital team is thinking about how to build on top of that to improve in-store experience for shoppers.
Yeah, so Happy Returns kind of started in two ways. Actually, I think it might have been a year or so ago, we actually partnered with Happy Returns, where Ulta Beauty is one of the stores that you could do a Happy Return at. So not an Ulta return, but just if you bought something from XYZ company, when you go to do your return through Happy Returns, Ulta shows up there along with other retailers that you could drop your return off at, which obviously is a traffic generator for us in store with those returns. But then that kind of was a help where with Marketplace that I just talked about, the UB Marketplace, because we aren't the shipper of those products, how does a return get handled for a Marketplace order? And it's something that, it's complex, and how do you make it less complex for the guests? Because all they want to do, hopefully they want to keep the product, but if they need to return it, how do they go about doing it? And that's where we were able to expand our partnership with Happy Returns, where if you do have an order that's fulfilled through one of our partners, if you go through the return process, then you could do it via Happy Returns in our store. And we'll continue to evaluate, how we go with returns and take it from there.
It's always the fun end of e-commerce,
We
right?
never want people to return stuff, but we obviously know that there are signs they have to return
Well,
stuff. so.
sometimes the color doesn't work. Yeah. It happens. Any other questions from the audience?
Hey guys, I have another retail-related question, and it has to do with digital display. Are you powering any digital displays with Amplience? Have you thought about it? I'm at Under Armour. We're kind of thinking about the same thing and whether or not there's a capability there.
We
Good
don't
question.
use Amplience for our digital display. We house our images and the content's built within Amplience, but it's not delivering the assets through digital display. But they're all built out through Amplience.
I believe there are other clients, though, that are doing that. To answer your question, I think like JD Sports is probably a good use case there.
Yeah, thank you, Joe and Carrie. I'm myself a Ulta customer, a loyal customer. Just wanted to know.
Thank you.
Just wanted to know how do you leverage Amplience for your loyalty experiences? So something we are trying to do at Vitamin Shop, but just wanted to know how is it that you are specifically using Amplience for loyalty?
Yeah, so I can answer that. So part of the personalization journey that we're on within Ulta, it started out as our own homegrown CPT, which I had no idea that's what it stood for, was Content Personalization Tool. We have a lot of acronyms at Ulta, and you almost need like a glossary to kind of figure out what all the acronyms are. Kate, you understand
do
that,
too.
right?
Every company.
Yes. And they all have
acronyms.
different acronyms, and someone comes from the outside and then they're using a different acronym than what you're used to, and you're like, what are you talking about? But within that, within the CPT tool, so we were able to leverage, like I was speaking about earlier, reaching out to our different loyalty guests based on the content that we're delivering. So if you think about it as a loyal member, you know, when we do our bonus point offers, right, of 2 times for what we consider our bronze guests, which is basically you're just a member, 3 times for our platinum members, and 4 times for our diamond members. In the past, we basically said up to 4 times at blah, 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 blah. Now we're actually able to take that content and just basically change that live text to say, thanks for being diamond. Here's your, it's 4 times points. Thanks for being platinum, and so on. And so that was kind of just our baby entry stages. And so in the next era for 2026, we decided not to use our own homegrown tool because it had its own limitations, but reaching out with a personalization tool. But Amplience is still going to funnel all of that. So that's still where we're going to keep all that content and still schedule that content because the scheduling in Amplience is key. And so we can utilize Amplience to reach our loyalty guests in a different way than we've been in the past and make it even more personal than what we do now. I feel like we've just like tapped into that because we've been doing personalization for so long through email and targeted marketing, but now we can do it on the site and app even more.
Yeah, and then one other like tie-in with that is, you know, for us, in order to have a guest receive that personalized experience, it requires them to log into the site or app. So we've been doing a lot of optimization around encouraging guests and getting guests to log in. And one of the things that we recently did, and this kind of changed from the beginning of our time with the current store to now, is we switched our authentication providers, which, you know, under the hood, you know, you want that to be as seamless to the guests as possible. But, you know, our original implementation, every single touch point where login had to be called. So if you clicked on, you know, viewing the details of a personalized offer or XYZ, it was like a unique kind of call to that authentication provider. And when we did the switch, we moved to kind of a single login component. And this is where across the web experience in both web and app, we have a single, both a login and a create account component that we're able to make that switch once and basically change hundreds of different touch points, whereas before it would have been extremely painful. So just kind of tying in like the nuts and bolts of how we get to the point of personalization with how we're able to leverage Amplience in that login component and make that the simplest part of the overall switch.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Question is, so if satisfaction is perception minus expectations, and you start to set expectations and content, are you far enough in your journey where you're able to correlate quantity of things like product reviews or product returns with the quality of your content?
Well, I think the product reviews piece is something that it has been important for us. I think it's becoming more important. And one of the things that we're looking at and working on, next year is how do we take like that user review content, both in the form of just the overall star rating as well as the actual written text of the review itself, and how do we, one, move that upstream, like out of the product detail page, so that it could help inform the guest shopping journey when they're looking at the different assets we have across the experience, but also then how do you take that information that today is kind of at the PDP level, and how do you make it more searchable, if you will, right? Like, so things like, you could search for, suntan lotion, and you could filter your results by stars. That's kind of like a base piece, but how do we actually take the content of the reviews and make it something that we're able to pull into our searchable experiences?
No, I was just going to say, I think being able to even look through and make it easier for the guests to see top-rated products, and I'm one myself who just reads through a whole host of reviews before making any kind of decision. And so it's like, how do you bring those reviews and how do you allow the guests to get to those high quality products? Because we take a lot of pride in our native reviews that we have on the site. And we push back on brands, like if they're not hitting 4 stars or higher, we take that back to the brand and be like, is there something wrong with the product? If we're reading reviews, like, is there something, fundamentally like eyeshadow payoff, right? Like if there's lots of comments about that, we take that back to the brand because we want to deliver the best products to the guest. Taking returns, like if your Dyson Airwrap keeps not working, right? There's a fundamental problem. And so we take that back to the brand to make sure that the guests are getting quality products, because that's very important to us.
Brand integrity.
Hi. With beauty being such a big industry amongst influencers, and that being a big component of around marketing these days, how are you integrating user-generated content within Amplience? Are you kind of leveraging any UGC as part of your content strategy? Being able to customize your your product detail pages with that?
So we actually are we're testing something right now. I would say it's not a test in the sense of it's like gated where some guests see it, some guests don't. But from a new feature functionality perspective, we have a feature. It's in our native app only. It's called Inspire, and it's a video feed that is essentially taking video content from our influencer ambassador community, and we're starting with a small set of actually, they're called Ulta Beauties, but like Ulta Beauty employee ambassadors, corporate store team members, and the content they're creating, and we're able to bring that content into a very TikTok style video feed. Actually, my 14-year-old was like a beta tester, and she's like, "Dad, it needs to flip like this," and so we made tweaks for that. But basically, being able to combine user-generated or influencer-generated video content, but then being able to make sure that content is tagged with the products that are in the videos, and then how do you make it shoppable? So we've been testing it out from a form factor perspective, but definitely I think as we look into the future, how do you take that? So if the video has, the Tarte, what's the one Tarte shape face?
Shape tape.
Yeah, shape tape. So if the video has, if the video has the Tarte product, how if you go to the product detail page, you would say that to see that same video content. So that's definitely one of the things we're looking at from a future state perspective.
Well, and to the point of the Inspire, it's limited to the app, and it's in a Discover section. But like as we think about the app of the future and our project flagship, how do we bring that content forefront to the guests, and how do we weave it throughout the site, right? And so we don't want any kind of discovery product in one area. We want to be able to have it be exposed across multiple pages, the PDPs, the homepage, everywhere the guest wants to go. We want to be able to provide that content to the guest because we know that imagery and reviews and video is so key to making a beauty purchase. It's really important to the guest, but I feel like we have a little bit more ways to go. ensure that we're bringing it to the guest at the right spot.
Oh, one last one.
Sorry, piggybacking on
I'm
that
getting the
UGC
5-minute call.
on that UGC piece, are you guys also doing anything to test like product market fit? You obviously have a data lake now that you have of UGC videos. Are you doing any like AI focus groups or anything like that to determine like what products hit the right market at the right time?
From a product perspective, no, but I know that as we're going through, we have so many different kinds of user groups that we test things on. Some that are for more of a store focus, some that are more for a digital focus. And as we're bringing to life what the look and feel of our new app will be, our guests is like the center of that, making sure that it's what they want to see, where they want to see it, how they want to see it. That's really important to our guest.
Yeah, especially with that we have a digital kind of digital focus group, if you will, and I think it's about 3,000 or 4,000 guests, something along those lines. So especially when there's a feature or functionality that we might be multiple pathways we could take down it, we definitely work with that audience to try and inform as best we can the direction we should go. And we do every 2 weeks we do these super demos, and often one of the segments of those demos is looking at our user experience research that we've done and be able to bring the voice of the guest into those conversations before like a final decision is made. So probably less on the pure AI piece of that, but definitely from like a focus group or user feedback, definitely something that's at our core.
Because we might think it's really important and really cool in the way our UX team designed it, or the way our leadership wants it, but if it's not hitting the right mark with our guests, then it's not going to serve its purpose. And so if we ever have any kind of concerns about something or things that we just want to know about the guests and how they shop and what they're looking for and how they want to navigate, how do they want to filter, we use that supergroup to get some research and get amazing feedback to see whether we were right or wrong.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for your great questions and your engagement. We really appreciate it. Thanks, Joe and Carrie, for taking the stage with us again today. And we just really appreciate your partnership and look forward to more future opportunities to come.
Our pleasure.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Thank you
having
so
us.
much.
Cheers.